where we examine the major debates in world football and give you, the fans, the fors and against to make the big decisions. So let the arguments begin as we take an in-depth look at La Liga versus the Premier League and who should be crowned the best league in the world. Now let's lay down some ground rules. We're judging who the best league in the world is at the moment, so we'll only be looking at the last 5 years. Any stat you see will be based on that time period. All around the world, the English Premier League is king. It's the most accessible league in the world and has the money from top to bottom to create the most competitive league in the world. To be the best league in the world, there needs to be unpredictability as well as quality, and the diversity of top clubs in the Premier League is their greatest asset. There's not been a back-to-back title winner for 10 years, and the relatively smaller gap between the top 3 and bottom 3 sides demonstrates just how competitive every week is for these clubs. In 2015, La Liga's television distribution model presented an 8-to-1 ratio favoring the top clubs compared to the bottom, while the Premier League ratio presented a 1.54-to-1 ratio. This alone shows that the model of La Liga gives its lesser clubs no chance at competing. Add in the fact that the Premier League doesn't have a winter break, where in the month of December, injuries increased by up to 37%, and it shows that the Premier League's schedule is by far the hardest out of Europe's top leagues. The Premier League's competitiveness and unpredictability is far superior to that of La Liga, which is why it should be deemed the best league in the world. La Liga has been the king of continental competition, producing 9 Champions League and Europa League finalists in the last 5 years, compared to the Premier League's 3. Their poster boys are the best stars on the planet, and the last 10 Ballon d'Or winners and candidates indicate that this league is home to the best talents in the world. Add in the fact that this league has dominated the last 5 FIFA Teams of the Year, and it'd be hard to say that any other league has as much top talent as La Liga. But let's not bog this down too far. The best league should perform best in the competition that includes both. And with that, La Liga is in a different class. Barcelona, Real, Atletico, and Sevilla are constantly winning European Cups, which demonstrates the strength of the league. When it comes to the best teams and top talent, it's La Liga over the Prem all day. If we're judging a league's greatness on how well they can market themselves, then yes, the Premier League is the best in the world. But behind all of the money, exposure, high-priced foreign players sits a league who hasn't shown up on the European stage for years now. In the last 5 years, how many times has a Premier League team won or even appeared in a Champions League final? The answer is a big fat 0. There's a giant illusion that just because the Premier League has a larger amount of lower-end big clubs, that their league is automatically the best in the world. How can you call a league the best in the world when clubs from other leagues are beating them constantly? England's in this conversation because their best clubs are marketed to be among the best in Europe, but until they start beating the likes of Barcelona and Madrid, then La Liga will always be superior. If one thing could epitomize why La Liga is behind the Premier League, then it would be its lack of competitiveness. Week in, week out competition for the top clubs is almost non-existent. For the casual fan, this league is a matter of wake me up when El Clasico happens, given that Madrid and Barcelona face little competition for a majority of their fixtures. Fans are understandably growing tired of the 4, 5, 6-0s, and Madrid and Barcelona now more than ever are simply poaching all the star players from other clubs that present a threat to them. Unlike the Premier League, the bottom-tier clubs in La Liga show little fight against the top clubs, and in many cases, they'd rather value style over substance. And this severely hurts the competitiveness of the league. The bottom half of the league is nowhere near the caliber of the top sides and are really just a punching bag for the league's moneymakers. From the top of the table to the bottom, every week is up in the air and no result is predetermined. Spain will never produce a champion like Leicester City, simple as that. And this encapsulates why the Premier League is the most exciting league in the world. But does the most exciting equal best? Let's look at it this way. The diversity of quality teams is why the EPL is so exciting, which means on average, first place to 20th, the league is better than La Liga. We're looking at entire leagues, not just the top 2. This league is defined by more than just 2 or 3 teams, and therefore, the difficulty of schedule is the biggest reason why the Prem stands above all others. In the Premier League, there's no such thing as an easy game, as teams will have no shame in parking the bus or relying on set pieces, long throws, or rugby tactics to earn themselves a point. The English Premier League has the hardest schedule due to the sheer number of quality teams, and there are 6 or 7 clubs that can do well in Europe, not just 2 or 3. Yes, the Premier League is the richest league in the world, but with the way modern football is going, money talks, and the EPL gives every club an opportunity to compete at the highest level. If the top teams define the quality of a league, then La Liga is your winner. No questions asked. They're home to the two best players and clubs of the last 5 years and have successfully built their worldwide brand around those assets. But to say that it's a two-team league is just wrong, as teams like Sevilla, Valencia, and Atletico Madrid can match up with any English side and have regularly beaten their Premier League equivalent in European competition. In Spain, there's a commitment to producing beautiful football, and they're without a doubt the more technical league compared to the Prem. And just because there's a large gap between the top and bottom of the league, it's not a knock on the bottom teams, but has much more to do with the quality of clubs like Barcelona and Madrid than the quality of clubs like Alaves or Las Palmas. If anyone thinks the likes of West Brom or Crystal Palace would take points off Barcelona and Madrid, then see me outside. La Liga is more than just two teams, and it has the quality, the style, and the European record to show that it deserves to be labeled the best league in the world. When it comes to the best league in the world, La Liga and the Prem will always be in the conversation. And regardless of who's on top, both leagues provide us with magical moments week in and week out. But what league deserves the crown? Join in on the Copa Debate down in the comments and let us know what you guys think.